Minnesota won the toss. They're going to receive. Mason Crosby to kick off. And off we go from Minneapolis. And as about 2/3 of the game start with these days, a touchback as we take a look at the Minnesota offense.
Kirk Cousins, Michigan State.
Dalvin Cook, Miami Central High School.
Adam Thielen, Minnesota State Mankato.
Stephon Diggs, University of Maryland.
Laquan Treadwell, Ole Miss.
Kyle Rudolph, Notre Dame. Riley Reef,
Iowa.
Tom Compton, South Dakota.
Pat Elflein, The Ohio State University.
Mike Remmers, Oregon State.
Brian O'Neill,
Pittsburgh.
Can that line do the job? Can they get a running game going tonight? They had none last week in Chicago. Diggs comes into the slot on the first play from scrimmage. Catch is made outside. And the hero of the Minnesota Miracle picks up 5. Tackled by Alexander. So there's Cousins, kind of an off and on season for him. Rating is decent, 19 TDs, 7 interceptions. Had a tough time last week in Chicago. Didn't get sacked much, but was under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, this offensive line simply has to be better than what they were a week ago. Of course, Khalil Mack and Hicks, they were living in there like they were running backs a week ago.
Here's Dalvin Cook. Has several games this season. Play fake to him. Ton of time. The line does a great job, and Rudolph makes the catch, but a little shy of the first down. Let's take a look at the Green Bay defense.
Dean Lowry, Northwestern.
Kenny Clark, UCLA.
Clay Matthews, USC.
Antonio Morrison, Florida.
Blake Martinez, Stanford.
Kyler Fackrell, Utah State University.
Joshua Jackson, Iowa.
Josh Jones, NC State.
Kentrell Bryce, Louisiana Tech.
Jair Alexander, the University of Louisville.
Tremont Williams, Louisiana Tech.
Banged up in that secondary. Williams moving back and forth in the corner to safety. 3rd down and 1 from the 34-yard line. And it's a run blitz, and can he pick up the first down through the middle? Is Ham, the fullback, and as they come in to mark it, it appears to be a little bit short of the first down. We'll see. If they put it right on the 35-yard line, it would be a first down. Bill Vinovich looks over to the sticks, and they're going to say 4th down. If the nose of the ball would be on the 35, since it started at the 25, it would be a first down. An inch or two shy.
You'll see the penetration coming right up here, and really for a fullback, C.J. Ham was pretty high on that play. Didn't get his shoulder pads down and paid the price for it.
Normally you say 4th and inches. You got a timeout here for Minnesota. Do they want to challenge this is the question. There's Mike Zimmer. When you take a look at it, again, there's a landmark here, and the landmark is the 35-yard line, because after a touchback, the ball is spotted right on the 25. If the nose of the ball is on the stripe, and we'll take a look from this angle to see if he's going to challenge or not, it would be a first down. So they take a timeout. Zimmer talked to the guys upstairs. The coaches, they probably told him, no, you're not going to win this. They leave the offense out there. So will they go for it? It says inches. It's probably an inch on 4th down. Latavius Murray is in the game.
You got a problem right over your center, though, if you're thinking sneak, and that's Kenny Clark, number 97.
That's a big problem. Now you got a flag, and the Vikings may have had 12 guys on the field.
12 men. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Well, you will not be going for it right now on 4th and 5 and an inch.
Ugh, is what you say to that. You make a big, bold decision as a head coach. We're going to go for it and slam it down there, and we're going to make a statement, and ugh.
The other interesting thing, Chris, you don't see it very often. Minnesota won the toss. All teams defer probably 80% of the time this year. Minnesota elected to take the ball, but it's a 3 and out. Matt Wild to punt. This is Trevor Davis waiting for it. Collects it at the 16-yard line. Gets a block. And runs it back to about the 28-yard line as we take a look at the Packers offense.
Aaron Rodgers, Cal.
Aaron Jones, UTEP.
Devontae Adams, Fresno State.
Marquez Valdez Scantling, South Florida. Equinemius St. Brown,
Notre Dame.
Jimmy Graham, the U.
David Bakhtiari, University of Colorado.
Lane Taylor, Oklahoma State.
Corey Lindsley, The Ohio State University.
Byron Bell, New Mexico.
Brian Balaga, Iowa.
Up on the big screen, they put a quote from Mike Zimmer: "We want our fans to be loud." And indeed they are, as the Packers come up to the line of scrimmage, which is the 29 for their first series of the game. They'll hand it off to Jones. And Jones, who's averaging about 6.5 yards per carry, is stopped as he crosses the line of scrimmage by Harrison Smith. Rodgers rating normally what it is. I mean, look at that. 19 touchdowns, one interception came in week 4 against Buffalo on a pass that was deflected twice. 2nd and 9. Run it again with Jones, and he gets bottled up. Second-year back out of the University of Texas, El Paso, setting up 3rd down and long.
Well, one of the young superstars in the league right now is Danielle Hunter, and we all talk about him as a pass rusher, 11.5 sacks. That is far and away the most on this football team, but his athleticism really comes into play in the run game too.
Third down, 8.
We got both linebackers and Harrison Smith right over the center. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has seen this one before.
Just get the snap off. Rodgers escaping, so dangerous as always, and the pass. Devontae Adams is is he out of bounds at the 42-yard line? Incomplete. Official right there along the sideline on the chalk, 4th down.
Let's take a look. All 3 guys in there, and so now protection-wise, you got to step down. You got to be aware of the fact they could all come. All 3 of them drop back out of there. Rodgers buys some time. Unfortunately, Adams stepped out of bounds.
Yeah, right there. Right foot out. Came back in.
Got some officiating help, too.
Yes, he did. J.K. Scott to punt. Marcus Sherrills, good return man. He'll throw for and make the fair catch at the 24-yard line. So, each team begins with a 3 and out on Sunday Night Football. From the 24-yard line, the Vikings with Dalvin Cook in the backfield. Treadwell setting up in the slot, pass quickly to the outside and running into his own man, Diggs. So the play is still alive, and he wishes it was dead at the spot because he's taken down at the 14-yard line, ran into Thielen. So the play was still alive. It's a loss of 10.
Man, what a play by Jair Alexander. You want to find out why this kid is so highly thought of? Watch this one. He's going to run right through Thielen into Diggs, knock him down, and make that play. That's as good a corner play as I've seen this year.
That is great. There is the offensive coordinator, John DeFilippo. Said that's not the way we drew it up on the whiteboard. 2nd down and 20. They have Amir Abdullah, the former Lion, who was picked up a couple of weeks ago in the backfield, sent him out into the pattern, and the pass is caught by Laquan Treadwell to the 20-yard line. A lot of stuff going on here in Minnesota. You got Mike Zimmer in his 5th year, Kirk Cousins, the high-priced free agent acquisition, John DeFilippo, who was at Philadelphia last year, now the offensive coordinator. Zimmer making it pretty clear he wants to run the ball more. Meanwhile, this team is, along with the Packers, the passingest team in the league. So 2-to-1 pass ratio, and they wanted to thin out the playbook a little bit this week. I'm not sure what that means.
Anytime you have an old defensive coordinator as your head coach, they tend to like teams that can run the football effectively. And these 2 teams all season long have thrown it more than anybody.
3rd down and 14, play clock at 1. Cousins hangs in there, and then the pass is behind the intended receiver, Aldrick Robinson. Crowd a little frustrated here. 4th down, they'll punt again.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins is a little frustrated. I mean, this is just picking up a little bit from where the Bears game left off a week ago. where he threw some interceptions where he completely misread or misunderstood the play call or whatever, and it just doesn't look like pro football. When you're missing by 5 or 6 yards, that's not an errant throw, that is a miscommunication.
Matt Weil, his second kick. Third punt of the game overall in 5.5 minutes. High boot. Fair catch called for at the 33-yard line by Trevor Davis. 9.5 left in the first quarter. No score in Minneapolis. A lot of coaches used to being on the hot seat. It kind of comes and goes, but the chair right now is a little bit warm for Mike McCarthy in Green Bay with his team 4-5-1. And this is not an elimination game, but it's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. A guy with 8 10-win seasons, 9 playoff berths in 12 years can be under fire, but he is sort of the blessing and the curse of having Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback.
From the 32-yard line, Rodgers starts this drive with play action, fires to the outside, good coverage, and is the catch made? No. Official coming in to look. Trey Waynes breaks it up. Let's take a look at that Viking defense.
Daniil Hunter, LSU. Sheldon Richardson, Mizzou.
Linval Joseph, East Carolina.
Everson Griffin, USC.
Eric Hendricks, UCLA.
Anthony Barr, University of California, Los Angeles. Trey Waynes, Michigan State.
Anthony Harris, Virginia.
Harrison Smith, Notre Dame.
Xavier Rhodes, FSU.
Mackenzie Alexander, Clemson.
Anthony Harris, 2 interceptions last Sunday night. Jones with a good run here and fights his way out to the 43-yard line and a first down for the Packers.
Yeah, and I think this is a bit of the magic, really, of Aaron Jones and what he's been able to do. The patience and the power at the same time. He has great quickness, and he's just so elusive. We saw it for the first time against the Patriots. Remember, he just sort of jumped off the screen at us as, wow, I didn't know this guy was that good.
Missed the first 2 games of the season. He was under suspension as Rodgers fires deep downfield. Incomplete, and here comes a flag. Devontae Adams saying I was held, and the official apparently will concur. Xavier Rhodes on the coverage.
Yeah, and it was just sort of hand fighting going all the way down the field, and you saw Adams sort of swinging his arm out because Rhodes kept trying to catch it.
Spot foul.
Watch this right there.
Automatic first down.
And there. Pretty clear foul.
Yep. At the 31-yard line is where it is spotted, so the penalty is worth 26 yards. As Aaron Rodgers comes to the line. That knee seems to be okay. Remember opening night, they carted him off. Crowd thought he was done for the season. Came back that night, led him to that miraculous come from behind win. This is St. Brown, and he gets tackled. Good tackle is made at the 27-yard line by Alexander.
You know, it's always interesting to watch this Vikings defense from my standpoint, and so much of it starts with Harrison Smith, number 22, the safety. He is the guy that is going to be down around the line of scrimmage. He'll sprint back to play free safety, but so many of their blitzes and their overload blitzes start with him. Is he coming down to the line of scrimmage to actually blitz? Is he just trying to fake out Aaron Rodgers? What is he doing?
That's Lewis setting up on the right side. We haven't seen Jimmy Graham yet with a broken thumb. He's active tonight, though, and the pass is caught a little short of the first down by Mercedes Lewis. So Graham broke his thumb. He's got a splint. He can play tonight. In fact, we were kidding around with Rodgers last night, you know, by throwing him changeups. He said, oh, no, fastballs all the way. And there's the thumb. There's the splint that protects that thumb, but he has not been in the game yet to this point.
The question is going to be, and he's not a big-time blocker, but could he block if he had to? And he was being creative in pregame warm-up trying to do it.
3rd and 1. Rodgers with those piercing eyes surveying. Lewis splits wide to the left. Inside handoff, Jones, and bangs his way for a first down. Out to the 18-yard line. The ball came out, but after the whistle, Linval Joseph stops him. 1st and 10 for Green Bay.
Did I really just see that? Did Everson Griffin get run over by Aaron Jones? Of course, the ball came out late, but I think the whistle was blown. But watch this. Griffin is one of the biggest guys in the league, and that didn't do anything to Jones.
So Jones has carried now 4 times for 17 yards. Leads the league with a 6.4 yards per carry average. Give it to him again over the right side and bends his way inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. Gain of 4. 2nd down and 6. Mom and Dad, who were retired from the service, there they are. Met his dad last night. He's an Army brat. Moved 7 times, including Germany when he was growing up, and they wound up in El Paso, Texas, and he wound up at the University of Texas at El Paso.
Yeah, we got a chance to visit with Aaron Jones last night. I don't think I've ever been called sir so many times in my whole life.
Yep.
You could tell the military background in that family.
2nd and 6. A little over 6 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Short drop, fast throw to the outside, and Davante Adams is in. Got Rhodes turned around. Rodgers put it right on the perfect spot, and in they go for the score.
Well, this is going to be the key matchup all night tonight. Are they willing to leave Xavier Rhodes one-on-one on the outside against Davante Adams? So far, it has been all Adams in that matchup.
Right on the money. So 20 touchdown passes to go with that 1 interception. Mason Crosby for the point after. And with 5:54 remaining in the opening quarter, Green Bay draws first blood. Packers 7, Vikings nothing on Sunday Night Football. .20 degrees outside in Minneapolis tonight. The kickoff will bound into the end zone, and Minnesota will take over at the 25, and back we go to the perfectly thrown pass for the touchdown.
Now this is pro football right here. Watch Aaron Rodgers and how much time elapses by the time he throws the ball. Just count the steps for Davante Adams. About 5 or 6. The timing is just exquisite. When you see that kind of combination, look how early he throws this ball. There's almost no way for Xavier Rhodes to make a play, and Rodgers starting to feel it. And I think Zimmer's starting to say, see guys, you can run the football first and then throw it for a touchdown.
Ball is in the air before Adams even turned around. Now you got Diggs in the backfield as the I-back. It's an end around here for Dalvin Cook, who had set up outside, and a good run here. Cook last week averaged about 1.5 yards per carry in Chicago. Here he breaks one off for 9.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the signature parts of this Vikings team. They are not an overpowering offensive line. So they have to come up with kind of gimmicky sort of plays to get outside. They're very much a zone blocking team. They're not a team that's just going to come in and play power football. They can't.
They've had 6 different starting combinations on the offensive line this season. In this game, number 11, and they're going to sneak it and pick up the first down here. Cousins through the middle. Check out this note here. Coming up, the offense last week, yards per rush 1.6. Rushing yards at Soldier Field last week 22. Gave up 2 sacks and a ton of pressures. 19 hits and hurries allowed.
Yeah, and 9 of their 13 runs went for 0 or lost yardage. I mean, that gives you some idea of how badly they were whipped by the Bears.
Now you got Riley Reeve, who has to come out of the game, the left tackle. Rashad Hill now is going to come into the game, number 69, and take his spot on that side of the line.
Okay, it gets interesting now because now you go young at that tackle position over there. Clay Matthews just took his hair out, shook it one time, and said, okay, here we go.
It's Kyler Fackrell right there, the sudden star with 8 sacks this season.
Yep. And he's going to be on the other side, so you got a youngin on that side and Brian O'Neill trying to block their sack leader, and the old warhorse on the other side, Clay Matthews.
Matthews in his 10th season. Cousins Takes it to the middle and hits Kyle Rudolph, the tight end, and that's a gain of 9. It'll be 2nd down and 1 for Minnesota.
Well, here you go. Rashad Hill, you're going to see he's going to have his hands full. Going to try and cut him here on the very first block. Quick pass, you can get away with it, but you know Matthews is thinking it's game on. He even made mention last night of Rashad Hill in our production meeting and said that'd be all right.
He wasn't licking his chops, but
no.
Get the idea. 2nd down and 1 from the 46. And this is Murray, Latavius Murray, to the 50-yard line. He goes. Coach missed so much time this year. Murray leads the team in rushing and a 1st down at the 50-yard line.
You know what's interesting, Al, is they had 2 straight 2nd and 1s. All right. And when usually for an NFL team, 2nd and 1 is like a shot play, right? You figure you come back on 3rd down, we can run, we can pick it up easily, quarterback sneak, whatever. But I don't think they have as much confidence in running the football, so they're going for it on that 2nd and 1.
Sure, Zimmer likes it. Fake to Murray, pass caught. Diggs, big gain. Diggs to the outside, he goes. Taken down at the 26-yard line. Stephon Diggs. Gain of 24 yards.
Well, and what happens now, you've run it a little bit. You can go play action. And now you start to work these 2 superstar wide receivers against those rookie cornerbacks that we were talking about during the course of the opening. It is going to be a target on the back tonight of Josh Jackson, of Tony Brown, number 28. Jair Alexander, I think he'll be fine, but those are the 2 guys they will attack tonight with their star wide receivers.
Quick flip out here to Dalvin Cook. He has some room. 1st down, inside the 10, touchdown. The center, Pat Elflein, came out to help lead the way. Here's the celebration. Through the limbo, huh? 75-yard drive, 6 plays.
Simple as it can be, a little screen pass, but watch the center, Elflein, get out in front. A mobile guy, loves playing up on the 2nd level, gets a good block on the outside against Martinez, and then the party did start. It's so nice to have one of those centers that can move, and Elflein is a guy that has the ability in space to make plays just like that.
Kentrell Bryce is down. Boy, that's not what Green Bay needs by any stretch of imagination. He has been an ankle issue that caused him to be inactive at Seattle in their last game. So they are so banged up in that secondary. As Michelle said at the top, banged up on all 3 levels. And he will come limping away.
Yeah, and Tramon Williams now is the safety because of the fact Clinton Dix was traded away. And now that Kentrell Bryce, they don't have any of their starters from when they began the season. So in comes guys like Josh Jones and Ibrahim Campbell, and just not much experience at all, not much communication skills on the back end now. There are a lot of young bucks playing a lot of football for the Packers on the back end.
Packers have 6 interceptions this season, but 3 of them are in Washington. Clinton Dix with the trio, and they sent him away. Dan Bailey picked up the 3rd week of the season. Longtime Dallas Cowboy let go by them to tie the game, which he does with 2:53 remaining in the opening quarter in Minneapolis. Dalvin Cook to the end zone. 7-7. So Minnesota answers Green Bay's touchdown drive with a fast one of their own. 75 yards, 6 plays. Cousins checks out the tablet. Game tied late in the first at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, site of the last Super Bowl. Philadelphia and New England. Philadelphia keeping their season very much alive today with that win against the Giants. Start with a touchback here. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Mr. Rodgers living in an interception-free neighborhood. 14th season, 1 pick every 67 passes. That's the lowest rate in NFL history. Nice sweater there. Past 10 games, 1 pick on 385 passes, most over a 10-game span with 1 or fewer. 262 consecutive passes. The only interception of the season, Jordan Poyer of Buffalo in week 4 on a pass that was deflected twice. Once by Jimmy Graham, the other time by a Buffalo defender. From the 25-yard line, Rodgers solidly in the pocket to the outside, perfect throw. Equanimous St. Brown with the grab and a first down.
You know, it's interesting. You see the numbers that Rodgers has put up this year, and you go, oh my goodness, his quarterback rating must be 125 or something, but it's about 102 because in part the completion percentage is down lower than it's been. A lot of throwaways, a lot of new guys. I mean, remember Randall Cobb's been hurt much of the year. Geronimo Allison's been hurt. Ty Montgomery was traded away. So he's breaking in some new receivers out there right now.
He's breaking in Jimmy Graham right now, his first action tonight on this series. From the 40, Rodgers rolling again, and that pass is caught with room to run by Kendricks, one of the tight ends, out to the 49. You know, Chris, you're talking about all the throwaways. A lot of that had to do, I think, the lack of mobility because of that knee issue, especially earlier in the season.
Yeah, no question. He's on a record pace this year as far as those throwaways are concerned, but now you're starting to see him make some of the turns and some of the body movements that we've always seen from him. And the other thing, Al, is I think the ability to run is going to limit some of the coverages that the Vikings are willing to play that maybe they didn't have to face in week 2.
Second and a short 2. Checks out the play clock. Straight drop. Scrambles away, throws to the sideline, 30-yard line. That's caught. That's St. Brown. Equanimous St. Brown. Third time he's been targeted tonight. Trey Waynes with the coverage on the play.
So many times that you'll see Aaron Rodgers step up and through. He is the master at finding that gap. If you rush 4, there are 2 gaps. You rush 5, there's at least 1 gap. And then just this little tiny flick. The liveliness of his arm has always been pretty amazing. But we have seen the X factor of Aaron Rodgers come back here lately with that knee getting healthier and healthier, and that's his ability to move.
Final minute of the first quarter. Blitz is picked up. A little room here for Jones, and he will move the pile to the 20-yard line. He goes, taking guys with him. Hunter and Kendricks converge on the tackle.
I tell you, this offensive line is doing a nice job. They have found a back that they know how to work with right now. Across the board, we talk about these guys as pass protectors a lot, especially David Bakhtiari. But across the board as run blockers, they may not blow people off the football, but they are very well orchestrated, and you see the patience of Aaron Jones playing right to that.
Play clock at 1. And on 2nd and 1, that'll result in a first down on a pass to Devontae Adams, which will take us to the end of the first quarter. End of 1, Green Bay 7, Minnesota 7. Sunday Night Football back after these messages. Since Zimmer has been here since 2014, they are both tops in the NFL in red zone defense touchdown percentage, points allowed per drive. So here's Green Bay inside the 20 with a 1st and 10. And a little flip here to Aaron Jones. Boy, a lot of window dressing on that play. He almost ran it in slow motion. He takes it to the 6-yard line. Stopped there by Weatherly, gain of 8.
Yeah, he's going to fake the handoff, fake the reverse, and then get the screen out there to Jones. So a little creativity there on the part of Mike McCarthy. I think McCarthy's heard enough about that stuff. Now the red zone really starts for Mike Zimmer. It's interesting. He doesn't consider the red zone to start until the 12-yard line. And a lot of times they'll basically invite you, if you want to throw a fade pattern to the outside, they say bring it on.
Yeah. He doesn't mind that at all. Flip to Jones to the outside. He goes in for the touchdown. Aaron Jones. Some dance moves here. Puts Green Bay on top again.
I don't think I've ever seen a tackle like David Bakhtiari pull and absolutely have nobody to block. He's going to come out here and he's just looking. There's nobody there. I mean, this is the #1 red zone that we've been talking about, and Aaron Rodgers and company made him look silly on that one.
75 yards, 7 plays. Took him only 3.5 minutes. Crosby for the point after. And it's 14-7. Back in 30 seconds. Kirk Cousins coming to Minnesota from Washington. They had franchise tagged him 2 years in a row there. Big long-term contract, and they brought him in for games like this. They're 5-4-1 in a season pretty much on the brink tonight. I mean, the teams would have the same records if Green Bay wins, but Green Bay would own the tiebreaker because they tied one and they would have won this one.
Well, that was the feeling, right, a season ago, that maybe the quarterback play was the last piece of the puzzle, and they could have re-signed Case Keenum, but they decided to go out and make an investment, so they want to see it pay off.
Minnesota begins this drive from the 25. So Cousins has experience playing against the Packers, even though he was in Washington for all of those years. 800 passing yards, 7 TD passes.
Jeez, great.
Yeah. And Joe Namath, only other player with those numbers in his first 2 games against one team, against the then Baltimore Colts.
I want to hang out in a room when they're making these things up. That looks like a pretty fun room to me.
Very cool. Cousins 7 out of 8 thus far. And the 1 touchdown pass. Sunday. Straight back he goes. Hands in the pocket. That's tipped, and then it's caught. Rudolph at the 42-yard line. Kyle Rudolph getting free and picking up 18 yards.
Yeah, good job by Cousins that time. That time he caught 27 Josh Jones coming down into the box and went to that deep over route. So much of the league right now is a single safety in the middle of the field, and more, Al, how many times have we seen this year that deep over route has become the play of choice?
And Rudolph makes that catch. As we said, the ball was barely tipped, but altered the direction just slightly. Dalvin Cook, gain of a couple. We go to Michelle.
Well, Ibrahim Campbell is in the game at safety because Kentrell Bryce is questionable with an ankle. He went back to the x-ray room, then proceeded to the locker room, had the left shoe and sock off of his foot. Remember, Rashad Breeland, Raven Green, Kevin King, all out with injuries for that secondary tonight.
And that could be a big problem as we head into the second quarter here. Mix and match in the secondary. Cousins, of course, knows it. Who does he want to pick on? Over the middle again, and that pass a little high, and it's incomplete. Intended for Adam Thielen. Came into the weekend leading the league in receptions. Has not caught a pass tonight. Had a very slow first half last week in Chicago, then picked it up in the second half.
Well, and we're seeing right now, Al, what the strategy is going to be. Jair Alexander is going to be the guy that is going to have either Thielen or Diggs. They're going to help on the other one. So let's see what Mike Pettin wants to do here as we head into 3rd down and about 7.
Thielen to the left, Diggs is to the right from the 45-yard line. 4-man rush. Cousins to the outside. That's caught, and that's another first down. That's Kyle Rudolph, tight end, who was the Pro Bowl MVP a few years back. First down.
Well, Jair Alexander's knocking everybody down tonight. Watch this one. On the outside, I got you, goodbye. And so then he comes back and helps, so that forces Cousins to go the other side, and there's his guy, Kyle Rudolph, who really has not been much of a factor this season. That has been a little bit of an interesting twist on this offense.
45-yard line. Rudolph came into the game averaging about 3.5 catches per game. Cousins fires over the middle, and it's dropped. Laquan Treadwell. Been an issue for him in his career. 2nd and 10.
It's really just too bad. He's a big, strong guy. He should be able to make these plays. When you're not a speedster, you have to be able to catch the slants, and unfortunately we've seen that a little bit all too often. This secondary, Al, for the Packers, they're playing really basic stuff, but they're disguising it really well. They're showing something completely unique, but then dropping back into some real basic coverages here.
Reef back in at left tackle. Here's Cook. Talking about Treadwell with his drop problems. He's caught 28 this year and dropped 5. Now it's 3rd down and 5.
Yeah, and it hurts, you know. Anytime you draft a guy in the 1st round, you're expecting a lot of production. And what's happening more and more is at least one of those two, Thielen or Diggs, are getting double teamed, and occasionally now we're seeing both of them get double teamed. Let's see who gets the double team here on this one. So you need the other guy. You need a Rudolph or you need Treadwell to be able to beat the one-on-one coverage.
Thielen comes out of the slot here to the left. Still looking for his first grab. Pass goes to the other side. That'll be a 1st down and more for Diggs to the 30-yard line. They'll never forget about this guy in Minneapolis. That will live forever. The Minnesota Miracle against New Orleans in the playoffs last year.
It's a great read right here. This time we're seeing Cousins actually see what's happening on the field. They bring a cornerback blitz, throw it right to him, make one guy miss. You got your 1st down. That's good quarterback play that time by Kirk Cousins.
Cousins now over 100 yards. 10 out of 13. Nice looking drive for the Vikings here. Down by 7. Good protection again. Cousins fires wide open. Touchdown. Stephon Diggs. Both teams marching up and down the field. 75 yards in a little over 3 minutes.
Going to get here, and you'll see Tramon Williams, who is now forced to play that slot, cornerback slot, get turned around and tripped up, and is going to leave Diggs wide open. Pretty drive.
Diggs with a touchdown catch in each of his last 5 games against Green Bay. Dan Bailey to try to tie it up out of the hold of Matt Wild. So 4 consecutive scoring drives after a slow start to the game. We're locked at 14-14. 4 minutes into the 2nd quarter. Four straight scoring drives in this, 2 for each team. And Green Bay will begin a drive from the 25-yard line. We go to Michelle.
Well, after Danielle Hunter was drafted, defensive line coach Andre Patterson texted him. And after some pleasantries, Patterson said, "I will help you become a big-time player." Hunter replied, "I'm ready to be a student and a great player." And Patterson wrote back, "I have coached 2 Hall of Famers, so I know what a great player looks like. I'm going to teach you. The sky is the limit for you." And Al, in their first face-to-face meeting, Hunter took pages and pages of notes, something Patterson told me he had never seen before nor since.
Michelle, it's been a great combo platter. And don't forget, Hunter came into the league as the youngest player in the league when he was drafted. He was 20 years old. Jamal Williams is now the running back. They give Jones a break on this drive, at least at the outset. Rodgers in the pocket, fires over the middle, reaching up, incomplete. And that's Jimmy Graham playing with a splint on that thumb, that broken thumb. Practiced all week long, incomplete here, 2nd down.
Good coverage by Jaron Kearse. Let's see if this one hits his hands. This is one that more often than not Graham will make. I'm not sure the thumb came into play as much as maybe the hands of Kearse being in his face, but they'll go back to him.
2 tight ends in the game. Kendrick's the other one. Sits up outside of him. A 2nd down and 10. Through the middle, Williams, who was their opening day running back, takes it to the 30-yard line, and that will set up a 3rd down and 5.
Here's some of the power blocking I was talking about that the Vikings don't do much of. Double team, double team. Let's push them backwards. Let's play power football. And the ability of the Green Bay Packers to do either. They can do the zone blockings, or they can play that duo power football as well. So a little bit limiting on the part of Mike Zimmer's squad that they don't have that type of offense.
3rd down and 5. Full house roaring. Rodgers sliding away, but taken down to the 30-yard line. Started to run. Tom Johnson said, nope, no gain, 4th down.
Well, you know you've got some athletes along the defensive line if they can make plays like this. So Hunter is going to go up, but watch, he doesn't run past Aaron Rodgers. He's ready for him to step up and through. And then, of course, Tom Johnson on the other side just squeezing this thing back in. They've got their eyes up. They know what Aaron Rodgers wants to do, and that's step up and through.
J.K. Scott, one of 4 punters who were drafted in the league in April, rookie out of Alabama.
Well, congrats to him. He and his wife just had a baby. And he has a really interesting punting style as well. Watch his plant leg. It will not leave the ground. It is a unique way to punt the football.
He gets a lot of extension. Bill Vinovich has halted play for the moment. Checking with James Crawford. That indicates eligible receiver. Crawford going, huh?
Yeah.
Play clock set back to 25 seconds. So Scott, his second punt, the first one was 45 yards. And that will be collected at the 19-yard line by Sherrills, and he gets taken down immediately. Good coverage there. Trevor Davis right in his face. Less than 9 to go to the half. 14-14 in Minneapolis. Well, for the Packers, Lambeau Field is a great advantage, but you send them out on the road. Since week 15 last year, 7 consecutive road losses. That hasn't happened since Bart Starr was the coach back in the late 70s. Rodgers lost 7 consecutive road starts, including the 5 this year. Of course, he was here last year. We dislocated his shoulder when he was taken down by Anthony Barr. It's been a long time since he has won a game away from Green Bay. And of course, the Packers travel as well as any team in the NFL. No matter where they are, you'll see those.
Well, that hit by Anthony Barr led to some major changes on what you could do to the quarterback this year. And then it sort of changed back after the Matthews hits.
Drive begins here with Latavius Murray. Talking about the injuries in that secondary, Chris, and you know, if you're Cousins, what are you looking at right there? You got a whole bunch of other guys in there.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the key. You've got Tramon Williams. He has the most experience, but he's playing safety because of the injury to Kentrell Price. The other guys are either rookies, or you see Will Redmond down at the bottom with only 2 starts. So no experience, and the big thing is communication. So I would hit them with a ton of motions and shifts and make them see if they can communicate.
Here comes the blitz, and Cousins gets it away into double coverage, and reaching for it and somehow making the catch is Adam Thielen. Wow. Adam covered well, but pulls in the pass, and that is a gain of 33.
Allie was better than covering them well. Watch Jair Alexander. This is perfect coverage. Perfect. How do they get that in there? Absolutely amazing. We have seen Thielen and Diggs do this time after time. Contested catches, that's their game. They're not always going to be wide open. Give them a chance, and Cousins is starting to believe.
And he had a field. Josh Jones coming his way as well. Hangs in there, tremendous concentration. Play clock at 1 as Cousins is protected well again. Pumps, fires, caught, and that's another catch for Kyle Rudolph as he goes to the tight end one more time. And Blake Martinez makes the tackle. Rudolph has now caught 5 tonight.
Yeah, I really like the strategy now, because even when they're bringing the big guys in, so they're bringing running backs and tight ends in, but playing spread. So now as a defense with those young guys back there, what do? You end up playing something simple, just a simple zone there, and Cousins knew he could hold the ball, manipulate it a little bit, found the open target.
Cousins already 175 passing yards tonight. More than halfway through the second quarter. The running back is Murray. Fake to him. Cousins rolling, throwing, and that's Rudolph, who's now caught a half dozen. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, with Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs getting the bulk of the passes, Kyle Rudolph's targets, as you've said, have declined this season. But he told me, I've learned that if you dwell on the lack of targets, all of a sudden they happen, and they come in bunches. And if you're not ready for them, you're squandering at the opportunity. At some point, I'm going to be called upon to help us win a football game, and I want to make sure I take advantage of that.
Yeah, that was interesting because he had Diggs wide open, but I'm seeing a lot more tonight of Cousins checking the ball down, making sure the completions after those 2 interceptions last week.
It's a nice protection, too. Short roll to the right, and that's going to be short of the first down. Diggs making the catch. About a 3-yard gain. Williams pops him. And that's going to set up a 3rd and 1 at the 29-yard line.
And Al, that's one of the things that we've seen out of this offense. There's Aaron Rodgers. He has his tricks, but Kirk Cousins has his too. He knows his offensive line, his protection has not always been great. Now you've got a backup in there as well. But what they do is they move him out of the pocket a lot and throw a lot of quick outs. He's in the top 2 or 3 in both of those categories. You saw both of them together right there.
3rd down 1. Murray flanking Cousins. Thielen in motion, and Kirk says, let's take a timeout. You know, teams moving up and down the field, Chris. What's interesting, you know, this used to be, you know, years ago, they would call this the black and blue division. It was all about defense, the monsters, the midway, and all of that. But this year, by the way, scoring is up more than it's ever been. The average score is 24-24. In other words, 48 points.
The monsters of the Midway still exist in Chicago, though. Those guys were pretty tough over there. But I do believe that as the season goes along, if the quarterbacks stay healthy, and a lot of the rule changes are to keep these quarterbacks healthy, and that's a good thing, obviously. But then you start to see this war of attrition go on the back end. You're starting to see offensive linemen go down. You see guys in the secondary go down. So the targeting gets to be a little bit easier.
Nice numbers for each guy tonight, in particular Cousins. 184 yards, 15 of 18. 2 touchdown passes. Rodgers has thrown 1. It's 3rd down and 1 now after the timeout from the 29-yard line.
Yeah, and they've got Murray in the backfield, who's their bigger back. Let's see if they challenge this defensive line. They have not been successful so far.
But to Murray, and he's going to get bottled up at the 30-yard line. So they keep it on the ground. You got Adams making the tackle. Kenny Clark is there in the middle as well. 4th down, field goal unit coming in.
Yeah, and basically by formation, they're saying, not right here. You're not coming directly over the center, and yet they tried it anyway. But just too good. We're seeing some good play by that defensive line. Montravius Adams that time with a big play.
Kenny Clark as well in there, having a Pro Bowl caliber season. Dan Bailey now to attempt a 48-yard field goal. Wild puts it down, and the kick is close and no good.
That hold was a little shaky right there. Just a little uncomfortable too.
So it remains 14-14. From the 38-yard line, Rodgers throws, caught, 1st down, and that is Equanimeous St. Brown, rookie out of Notre Dame. Drafted in the 6th round. Back to the missed field goal by Bailey we go.
Well, of course, Daniel Carson missed 3 and cost him the game, or at least cost him a tie last time. Missed this one. A bit uncomfortable on the hold. You could tell that the catch wasn't clean. Watch his finger. It's really on the back of the ball and not so much on the front. And it just took a little extra time. And sometimes when it's late getting down, you see those kickers hook it.
And that while holding on the kick, as Rodgers now has the ball in Minnesota territory and just flicks it to the left and out of bounds with a flag coming in at the end of the play. Graham was sort of the intentional receiver. It's going to be against Green Bay. It's going to be offense.
Well, there was nothing catchable about that. So if it happened before the throw.
We haven't heard from Bill Vinovich tonight until now.
There's no foul for pass interference as the ball was not catchable.
Yep.
2nd down.
Thrown way out of bounds.
Yeah, you could see Trey Waynes on the outside here working against Jimmy Graham, and you know, it was at least 10 yards over their heads.
You know what's great? You don't hear the referee's voice until the game is 26 minutes old.
It's all right with me. All right with me.
So from the 47-yard line, Rodgers hands the ball off to Jones. Actually, we have heard Vinovich once or twice tonight, but the point is, boy, it's a penalty-free game. You don't see a lot of those.
No, and there's Mike Zimmer. He's got to be happy with the play of Jaron Curson there. He is a special teams artist, but he's been making some plays here. Now they have this big third down. This is, you make one more first down, and now you're down in field goal range. This is that area of the field that a lot of times wins and loses games. So far, we've seen a lot out of Equanimeous St. Brown. He's been the other guy for Adams tonight.
Since last year, best in this scenario. Third and long, and they got a jump on the right side of the line. Rodgers is so good with 3 plays. Throws incomplete. It's Everson Griffin coming across the line, and nobody's ever been better than Rodgers when it comes to getting in the jump offside.
Defense number 97. 5-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
And then normally take advantage of it.
Yeah, and everybody knows it's a big down, and here comes the hard count one more time, and it's amazing these offensive linemen so well trained, and yet they hang in there. You know, that's the key. A lot of times you see those offensive linemen jump and point, and they blow the play dead. Aaron Rodgers wants no part of that. Don't do that. Let's take our shot down the field.
Third down 4. Rodgers escapes, throws, and that's incomplete. Aaron Jones skirting down the sideline. It'll be 4th down and 4.
Fantastic play on this one by Eric Kendricks to avoid the pick. They were trying to pick him inside. He had the speed to duck inside and get around and still be able to get this coverage. 1,000%. He is the guy that made that play. Beautiful.
Well, for the moment, the offense is going to stay out. It's a 4th and 4 at the 41-yard line.
At the very least, you go hard count here.
Right. Trying to get Minnesota to jump. Rodgers claps his hands, and they let the play clock expire. So why not? If you're Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, you've done it so often.
Still 4th down.
Penalty doesn't hurt you in this particular situation. And in comes the punting group.
It's interesting. I almost thought you might see Mike McCarthy be doubly aggressive after not going for the 4th and 2 and taking a lot of heat on that one last week. Decides to punt this one away as well.
In this case, I would punt it. In this particular case.
4th down.
I just think possession in today's NFL is so valuable. I would call this one at least a 50-50 decision when you've got a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers.
All right, I'm buying 51-49.
There you go.
Scott angling that kick, and it bounces at the 5-yard line. It comes back, and that will pin the Vikings deep with 2:55 to the half. Tie game.
All right, here's the PFF algorithm about that decision last week by Mike McCarthy, making the decision that he was going to punt instead of go for it. 4th and 2 on his own 33. They had a 60% chance of converting that play with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. And if they did, in fact, convert, their chance of winning went up to 38%. If they got stopped, it was 20%. But their chance of winning, if they punted, was only 21%. So why not go for it, especially with that 60% chance of converting? you know, you can always second guess. He doesn't have an algorithm he can plug it into on the field. But I think if he had it to do over again, probably would have gone for it.
They punted and they never got the ball back. PFF, by the way, stands for Pro Football Focus. Chris Collinsworth, principal, world headquarters in Cincinnati.
There you go.
Almost as big as Procter & Gamble, huh?
Pretty close, yeah. Pretty close.
Timeout called by the Packers. That's their first. You know what's interesting? I had Kenny Hurt check this out downstairs because you see when a team wins the toss these days, what percentage of the time do you think they defer this year? Take a guess.
70%.
95.
Wow.
95%. And so that's why it was surprising tonight because Minnesota won the toss, elected to receive, which means, of course, Green Bay is going to get the ball to start the second half.
You know, I wonder if Mike Zimmer wanted to make a little statement about his offense. Come back in, pound the football, run it a little bit, but he came straight out with 2 straight passes. So maybe that was all a rouge.
There's DeFilippo calling in the play. 2nd down and 7 here from the 13-yard line. Cousins fires to the right side. And this is Cook breaking free. Nice run there. Breaking tackles. Picking up a first down out of the 21-yard line.
It was not Kirk Cousins' best day against the Bears, and it was not Dalvin Cook's best day. But so far, those two in this one, much better. And I tell you, this is one as a head coach, you just take a huge, deep breath and go, oh, thank goodness we got that first down. Because as this clock is ticking down, you do not want to give that thing back to Aaron Rodgers right there.
First down, keep it on the ground, and stuffed at the 20-yard line. Making the tackle right there was Dean Lowry on Dalvin Cook. It'll be 2nd down and 11, and that's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. Good one in Minnesota, 14-all. Cousins throws and a one-hand grab. Rudolph at the 26-yard line.
Well, let's take a look. Did he actually catch it? That would be one heck of a catch if he did. I would say that was okay with me. What do you think?
30-second timeout.
I think that
I mean, it may have hit the ground, but it looked like he sort of controlled it there.
Inside 2 minutes, no challenge. So they look at it in New York. They'd have
Look
to
at
decide.
Terry McCauley's over there going. He's got that growl going over there.
Terry, what do you think?
You know, I don't think he has control of the football before it hits the ground. It's really close. I doubt they reverse it if they stopped. And this may be a better angle here. Okay. It's close. They're not going to reverse this. I will tell you that if they stopped it. I don't think they're going to even stop it to look.
So you're taking back your growl?
No. I am taking back my growl. Thanks.
Okay. Just a little snort. 3rd down and 5. Play stands. The 26-yard line, and he got action on the offensive side.
Offense number 75. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Brian O'Neill, a rookie right tackle, 2nd-round pick out of Pittsburgh.
Oh, and it goes from 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 10, and now it gets a lot more complicated. It is an art for those offensive linemen to hang in there because you're thinking about a million different things, right? You're trying to protect the quarterback. What's the audible? What they change? And then the snap count tends to sneak out of your head. You're thinking of that guy right there, Clay Matthews.
Cousins, good protection again. Thielen, great move to pick up the first down. He left Alexander in his tracks, faked them out, picks up the first down with 1:46.
He's just clever. You know, Adam Thielen, he's not the greatest athlete in the world. He's just clever. Watch this, makes a nice move, sprints hard, and then just hits the brakes. Right on by. I saw that in Top Gun one time.
Undrafted, you know the story. If you follow football at a Minnesota State, showed up and can't make the team. Came into the weekend leading the league in receptions. Cousins flushed out. Gonna keep it. Flag is thrown. And for the moment, he's out of bounds at the 42-yard line pending the call.
Looks like it's going to come back. Yeah.
Holding. Offense number 74. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
It's Mike Remmers, the right guard.
But it is interesting, Al, don't you think, to see Kirk Cousins get out and run the football. One of the things that they talked about this week was that he doesn't do that enough. He's had 4 or 5 touchdowns every year for the past 3 years, just one this year. But they have a sign up in the quarterback room, pick up at least 1 first down with your legs if you're a quarterback, and you can tell he's thinking about it now.
You know, in my mind's eye, when I think of Washington, I think of him outside the pocket.
Me too.
1st and 20. Blitz coming to the outside, and this time Thielen cannot get away. That's Campbell making the tackle for a short gain. 2nd and very long, 2nd and 18.
Yeah, and it's one of the signatures, really, of Mike Pettine's defenses is that he's not sending blitzes. You know, it looks like pressure. It looks like a blitz, but he's only blitzing one side. So they basically brought 4 or 5 people, but they all came to the same side.
Cousins throws out to the 39-yard line. That's hauled in by Aldrick Robinson, who played with Cousins in Washington. They hustle up to the line. Under a minute now remaining, and it's going to be 3rd down, and let's call it 7.
I think I would take my time here and let a little clock tick off here. You don't want to give too much to Aaron Rodgers if, in fact, you don't get this. This is pretty well done here. Still leave yourself enough room to score if you do convert, but let's let that clock tick a little. Well done.
And they kept Green Bay from taking its final timeout. The clock is now under a half minute by the time they get it away. So clearly they're thinking about that as they try to convert on 3rd and 7, and that is caught, and they do convert. And now do they take their timeout, and they will. Thielen makes the catch. 22 seconds to the half. From the 47-yard line. Pressure again. Cousins stepping up, fires, caught inside the 35. Here's Thielen. Minnesota does not have a timeout, so they got to get up there and spike it. Hope to set up a field goal attempt, maybe one play in between. And now Cousins will spike it with 3 seconds, so at least they'll have the opportunity to take the lead on a field goal. Bailey and company coming out.
First of all, what a fantastic job there. First, Kirk Cousins redirecting the traffic over here because the blitz is going to be flying off the edge. Cousins knew he had it picked up, though. Back goes that way as well. They've got everything picked up. He can stand in, deliver the football. This drive is perfectly executed if, in fact, they can make this kick.
And Rodgers will have no opportunity on the side. 51-yard attempt to try to give the Vikings their first lead in the game. Matt Wild to put it down. And we got a flag as he boots it. Looks like it went through, but Vinovich will make the call here. Flag down at the line of scrimmage. Against the Vikings, it would be make it a 56-yarder. Otherwise a 46-yarder. There's Mike Zimmer saying make it against the Packers.
There was definitely some movement by the Packers initially. Did they cross into the neutral zone? Actually, it looks like the in man on the line of scrimmage is offside.
Offense number 69. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Hold on. Rashad Hill. SNF Kicks had it good from 55, Fred? 55, so that was from 51. Now you got one from 56.
His long this year is 52.
Michelle?
Yeah, he converted a 60-yarder in pregame, said that would be his range. SNF Kicks Technology said it would be good from 63, Al.
All right, here we go, Michelle, from 56 to try to give the Vikings the lead going into the locker room. And it's no good. Off to the right. So he misses a couple here. Green Bay will get the second half kickoff. Here's Bailey to kick off. Jamal Williams back at the goal line. And Going to run it back from the 2. Williams looking for some blocking and brings it back to where it would have been with the touchback. The 25-yard line. Let's go back to the last play of the first half. We're going to bring Terry McCauley in for a second here after we see Bailey, and watch as Brown comes in and makes contact. Terry, what do you think here?
This is clearly a foul at a minimum for running into the kicker. He runs into the kicking leg before the foot gets down, so that's a foul for running into the kicker. Then he slides through and makes contact with the plant leg. And the referee would have to decide, is that forcible enough for a roughing foul? At a minimum, they should have gotten a re-kick with at least a 5-yard penalty and an extension of the period.
That would have made it a 51-yarder. If it was 15 yards, it would have made it a 41-yarder. And the crowd saw that on the big board at the end of the half and booed vociferously. Jones for a couple. Here's Michelle.
Well, after those 2 missed field goals, Mike Zimmer told me when the Vikings are in scoring position in this second half, he's going to have to go for it on 4th down, telling me, I am not going to put the game in the hands of the kicker. As for Mike McCarthy, he told me his offense had chances for big plays but missed them. He said their biggest challenge is holding off the Vikings pass rush on 3rd down, guys.
Michelle, these teams have now played 100 minutes this season in the 2 games, and they're still tied. 2nd down and 6. Rodgers swings it out. Jones with some room and a 1st down. Alexander with the tackle here. So Bailey has missed a couple of, boy, it's been a real bugaboo for Minnesota in recent years. Go back to the Blair Walsh missed kick in the playoff game. 48 and 56 missing tonight. Interesting statement from Mike Zimmer, too, to Michelle. Don't put it in the hands or the foot of the kicker as Aaron Jones takes the ball out to the 45-yard line.
And you know what's really strange about it, Al, is that Daniel Carlson went out with the Raiders and is 7 for 8 in field goals out there in 5 games and was the special teams player of the week with the game winner. So, and you would think in perfect conditions, this would be the perfect place to be a field goal kicker.
Well, Carlson had a bad day at Lambeau outside, obviously, and then they cut him. And he was a draft pick as well. And that's when Bailey came in. 2nd down and 5. Jones again. Nice run over the right side, and that will move the sticks as the ball will be spotted at the 50-yard line. 1st down.
One of the really good athletes inside for this Packers offensive line is Corey Linsley, having a great year, really a great comeback year for him. Not quite as good a season ago, but he has really picked it up. And now it's Byron Bell who is going out of the game. He was limping after that play.
He had no shoe. He threw the shoe all the way over the sideline. The shoe came off, and then he threw it over the sideline. There it is, being repaired for him. Justin McRae comes in to replace him, at least for the moment. Pass caught by Adams. Can he spring free? No, he can't. Picks up only a couple. Xavier Rhodes makes the stop there. It'll be 2nd down. Let's call it 7.
Where Devontae Adams has really had a year, though. He is getting close, if not there, to 1,000 yards. But the difference in what he has been able to do is the run after the catch. And so they want to play Xavier Rhodes one-on-one against him. But athletically, the quickness out there of Adams has been the difference so far. So more often than not, we've seen Rhodes with a little safety help like they have here with Anthony Harris playing over the top.
Adams, 1 touchdown catch tonight, 10th for the year. Rodgers escapes for the moment, gets jostled again, and throws the pass incomplete. 3rd down and 7.
Let's take a look at the marquee matchup tonight. 2 great football players on the outside. And it has been Adams, I would say, with a slight win thus far. Here's the touchdown pass on the back shoulder. There have been a few plays in which we've seen Rhodes have pretty good coverage on him. But at least so far, the touchdown maybe skews it one way.
There's the matchup head-to-head in week 2. That is the marquee matchup on the outside. Meanwhile, for the Packers, you've got an injured left guard, Lane Taylor. As we take a look at it tonight, 2 targets, 2 completions, and there is the left guard Taylor. We already saw Bell lose his shoe He had to come off for a couple of plays, the right guard. And let's take a look at what happened to Lane Taylor here.
There he is going against Sheldon Richardson, and looks like just took a bad step. Guess it happened somewhere there. You know, for so long, the guards were really the strength of this offensive line with TJ Lang and Josh Sitton in there. Both of those guys gone. Now, clearly, the strength of the offensive line is David Bakhtiari and Corey Linsley.
So Bell is back, and McRae, who replaced him at right guard, now replaces Taylor at left guard as we get ready for a 3rd down and 7.
There's the AAA blitz one more time. Those 3 guys in right over the center, and you can see the communication starting to happen. They backed out last time. Let's see if they blitz this time. 2 do.
Rodgers deep down the left sideline, 2 deep. Devontae Adams. Rhodes matched up with him, and it's 4th down.
And it's all about protection. The reason they do this is they want to mess with Aaron Rodgers in the protection. Obviously, the shortest path to him is straight ahead. So now they'll have 2 of them blitz and 1 of them fall back. But as an offensive line, you never know which of those guys you have to block. So Aaron Rodgers takes his deep shot, and now they have to punt.
The rookie Scott, his 4th boot of the night. Marcus Sherrills back to receive it. And lets it bounce at the 5, and into the end zone it goes. Ball comes out to the 20 early in the 3rd, 14-14 in Minneapolis. Bill Vinovich ready to make an announcement here after the kick went into the end zone.
Illegal touching. Kicking team number 82. Went out of bounds, was the first to touch. 5-yard penalty from the 20. 1st down.
Yeah, you're chasing the kick. Gets pushed out of bounds. Duty to come right back in, which he does, but now he cannot be the first to touch. And there's the foul and an additional 5 yards.
So Cousins begins from the 25. Big night for Cousins to this point. 246 passing yards. And not a bad night for Dalvin Cook. That is his 7th carry for 30 yards. Gain of 3.
And Clay Matthews making another tackle on that play there. And Clay Matthews has not so good memories of what happened to him in that last game. He was called for some penalties that I think eventually caused the competition committee to go back and go, is this really what we want football to look like? Because it was a pretty clean play, and had one just recently that was probably a little worse that wasn't called.
No question he changed the narrative on that after weeks 2 and 3. And 2nd and 7. Cousins down the sideline. That's incomplete. Intended for the former Lion, Abdullah. 3rd and 7. Let's go back to the play you're talking about, Chris.
Yeah, Clay Matthews, here he is, and this was against Kirk Cousins. This one really cost him the game because it was intercepted on the play, and it would have been game over. Not a whole lot there. And watch this one. You tell me which one's worse. There was a little pile drive into the ground right there. If that had happened in week 1, that one was not called. And in week 1, they probably would have put him in jail.
Matthews, one-time #1 draft choice at USC. 10th year with the team. Cousins dancing around. He's going to keep it and get tackled up at the 29-yard line. Tyler Fackrell makes the stop there, and it's 4th down.
Been sort of a streaky game, hasn't it? It's like, you know, nothing, and then everybody scoring touchdowns, and then we're back to nothing again.
It started with a couple of 3-and-outs, and then you had 4 consecutive scoring drives, 2 by each team, and now a sputtering start to the 2nd half. This will be Matt Wiles' 3rd punt of the game. To the near sideline. Tramon Williams is there. Good run back for him.
Whoa.
The 13-year veteran gets smacked after a return of 20 yards by Kentrell Brothers. Green Bay with the ball. Tie game. So the Green Bay Packers, again, the importance of this game. They're 4-5-1 coming in, still looking for their first road win. They have a nice schedule ahead. No coach is going to say we have easy games, but they go back to Lambeau and they get Arizona and Atlanta. Meanwhile, Minnesota goes on the road to New England and Seattle. You tell me. From the 35-yard line, they begin this drive. Jones wrapped up after a gain of about 4.
Let's go back to week 2 and take a look at what Aaron Rodgers looked like. He had that knee injury. We saw it against the Bears in week 1. Week 2, anytime he tried to move, it just wasn't there. Watch him try and get up. It was almost like he had a cast on his leg. And then tonight, he's back. Stepping up, flicking, doing all the things that he does. And just in time for the Green Bay Packers because they have to have it right now.
Season on the brink for them. 2nd down and 5. Rodgers flips it to Jones. Well covered there by Rhodes, making the stop. You know, we were talking to Rodgers last night. It was very interesting about, you know, Brett Favre, and they've had a rapprochement. He went down to Mississippi. They get along great now. Not so great in the years prior. But he talked about Brett being a field player, and he learned a lot from Brett. I mean, nobody is more studious in terms of the quarterback position and working on mechanics and everything else than Rodgers. Brett was a different kind of cat.
Yeah, a field player, and Rodgers said he would watch it, he would study it, he'd go home and practice it in the off season, and now he can do it too.
3rd down and 2. Inside handoff and trying to push his way for a first down. Going to be close. Jones gets it out to the 45-yard line. Let's see where they're going to spot the ball. That was a 3rd down play. And it's a little bit short. So here you go. What do you do here if you're McCarthy?
Well, here's Linval Joseph inside. Watch him control with his hands. One of the most powerful pops. Stands him up. Stops him just short. So I think if you're going to think about this going for it, which McCarthy is, I do believe, that you may want to think about whether or not you want to run it at Linval Joseph.
McCarthy wanted that play clock put back to 25. He said it took him forever to spot it. He may have to take a timeout now. He said, you know, it took you guys so long to spot it, and then let the play clock run, and now you're compelled to take a timeout because of it. So the play clock went to 40, and they kept running it as they were looking to see if it was a first down or not. So McCarthy said the ball's not ready for play.
You know, the interesting thing is I think he could have asked for a measurement on that play to give himself a little think about it time as well, because it was certainly close enough.
So the play clock keeps running. And there it is. There's the play. Okay, that's the end of the play. There it goes back to 40 automatically. And then with the officials coming in and trying to figure out whether it was a first down or not, it just kept on running. And the ball was not ready. So in other words, if Rodgers wanted to get up there and run something fast, he couldn't have.
Well, they had to figure out whether it was a first down, but it took time away from the Green Bay Packers to make that decision.
Terry, what do you think?
I think they got it right on this one, Al. I'm looking at the line feed. They got the ball down, signaling 4th down with 27 on the play clock.
Okay. So they come up, they're going to go for it, at least line up to go for it. 4th and inches. And it's going to be very close as well.
I don't think so.
Harrison Smith stopping them. Doesn't appear to be a first down, at least from this angle, and it's not. And Mike McCarthy wants to shoot the analytics guys right now.
Harrison Smith, what a play by him coming off the edge. Right here, he makes so many plays in the backfield. He had one of those phenomenal years a season ago but he hangs around that line of scrimmage, and nobody ever knows what to do with him. Do you block him? Do you treat him like a linebacker? You got to treat him like a defensive back. I think pretty clearly short of that line.
So Minnesota takes over at the Green Bay 44-yard line. Cousins flips it to the outside. Cook. Alvin Cook. Nice night for him. Gain of 15 and a first down.
They're just not reacting very well on the outside to this pick play that's coming down. You'll see them come up and just jam everybody up inside, and nobody gets through the pick. At some point, as the outside corner, you have to be willing to trade that off and let somebody take it inside. You can't let them just pin you in like that.
Alvin Cook averaging a little over 4 yards per carry. Meanwhile, Kentrell Bryce, who went out in the first half, back in that secondary. As Cousins fires to the left side, Diggs will make the catch and gets spun out of bounds after a short gain by Campbell.
Yeah, we've seen Stephon Diggs really come on here lately, and I think it's at least in part. Adam Thielen had that little bit of a calf injury, and so he was really the focal point early on. But here's the guy with the play of the game right now, Harrison Smith, and if they can convert this into a touchdown, we'll be talking about it for a while. Such a significant game.
Second down and 5. Cousins fires. It's going to be a first down and more. Thielen run out of bounds at about the 13-yard line. 6 catches. Thielen approaching 100 yards. It's 91 receiving yards for him tonight.
Riley Reiff, coming off a foot injury, has held up much better against the sack leader Kyler Fackrell for the Green Bay Packers, who, let's face it, is not Khalil Mack. That's the one he saw a week ago. Here's Thielen just working inside on that zone, and once again, the simplified coverages because of the injuries and the changes on the back end now starting to come into play.
On the ground, not much here. Cook, minimal gain. It'll be second down with 5.5 to go in the third.
Clay Matthews made a lot of plays on that inside zone tonight. He has not been blocked by the tight end or the fullback. Just have to wonder. I can't see the odds of his being back here in Green Bay as being very good. But you'll see they'll try and come across and kick him out, and nobody's been able to do it. Just too athletic tonight for that play.
Cousins getting away, keeping it. Taken down at the 10-yard line. Tackle made there by Blake Martinez, their leading tackler by a mile, upcoming a big third down.
And once again, they tried to hit this swing pass going down the sideline, but that time they traded it off perfectly. Tramon Williams was right there, so Cousins just came back. You're in the red zone, and sometimes this can be a real backbreaker for a defense when that quarterback takes off and runs. The guy we've seen that was hot early on was Kyle Rudolph. He's out there in the bunch formation at the back end of the stack now.
It was a backbreaker last week when Trubisky was running against these Vikings. Third down and 7. Cousins, line holding up very well, at least for the moment, but he held on too long. Kenny Clark finally gets in. Cousins had plenty of time, and then finally the clock ran out on him as Kenny Clark burst through for the sack.
Well, this is 1,000% Al a coverage sack here because Kirk Cousins held the ball. I didn't want to make the big mistake down here in the red zone. Got to at least feel like you've got points on the board, but who knows?
Couldn't hold him off forever. It'll be a 37-yard attempt for Bailey. He's going to put it in his foot right now. This should be a very makeable attempt, and it is. So for the first time in the game, the Minnesota Vikings have the lead. 17-14 on Sunday Night Football. Vikings with the lead for the first time in the game, and the kick will bounce through the end zone. And down through the roof. as Green Bay takes it at the 25-yard line. This drive begins on the ground. Aaron Jones for a pickup of 3. A little over 3 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, once again, we all talk about Danielle Hunter, his ability to get after the quarterback, but this is what separates him. This is what's going to put him in the Pro Bowl. This is what's going to make him a great player long term. And you know, he's only 24 years old, so when you're talking about somebody who has 37 sacks already in his career, what could he do? He was the youngest player in the league for his first 2 years, so who knows what his final numbers will end up.
Only guy with more sacks, Aaron Donald, coming into the weekend. Otherworldlies. 2nd down and 8. Rodgers pressured and dumps it off incomplete. Chased by Weatherly. Meanwhile, David Bakhtiari, the left tackle, took himself out of the game before that last play, and Jason Spriggs went in to replace him. There's Bakhtiari on the sidelines. You got Spriggs and McRae, 2 backups, playing on the left side of the line right now.
That could not be bigger. David Bakhtiari is the best pass blocking left tackle in the game. Now you're sitting there at 3rd and 8, and you've got a guy playing across from you that has 11.5 sacks. It is time to hunt now. They're going to have to help on Danielle Hunter.
3rd down and 8 where the Vikings excel. Jamal Williams is the running back. Play clock ran to 0.
Offense number 12.
5-yard penalty.
5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
That's a delay of game, so that moves the ball back to the point where it's going to be 3rd down and 13.
Yeah, so back-to-back plays where the play clock became a factor. This is really big, though, right there. Because now, basically, Mike Zimmer knows what they're going to do with their protection. They have to slide this protection to the left side, or at the very least, leave a tight end or a back on that side, which they're doing now with the back. But this now gives Zimmer a chance to dial up, knowing what they're going to do with their protection.
Asked McCarthy last night who your Pro Bowl candidates. First guy he mentioned was Bakhtiari. 3rd and 13. Rodgers pressured. Down he goes at the 12-yard line. Big time pressure put on. You can almost smell it with the changes up front. Hunter's in there. Richardson's in there. We'll see who they give the sack to.
Oh, no question. I could have told you before the snap of the ball. You got Danielle Hunter jumping right inside so quickly there. Even with the double team, it just didn't matter. Just too lightning quick. That was a huge injury for the Green Bay Packers to have to endure right there.
They give the sack to Richardson. So it's 4th and 22. And the 4th punt coming here for Scott. Flag is down. Fielded by Sherrills at the 44. And Sherrills is inside the 40 and out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Let's see about the penalty. Little conference going on back at the 15, about where the flag was thrown. That's Tony Brown. He'll limp off.
It's going to be like the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to run out of players to play cornerback.
War of attrition in the secondary. Bill Vinovich tells us.
Illegal formation. Kicking team. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. 1st down. Timeout.
Going to break with the Richardson sack. 17-14 Vikings. Tough road for the Vikings ahead. They go to Foxborough next week. Come back home to practice, go to Seattle, so they go coast to coast. Miami comes here, then they're at Detroit. And they end their season against Chicago here. They're trying to stay a game and a half back of the Bears in the north. They lead by 3. Cousins protected well, fires a little bit low, incomplete. Pass intended for Diggs. We go to Michelle.
Well, the left side of the Packers offensive line, David Bakhtiari has been you know, getting treatment on both of his knees throughout this game. Lane Taylor, questionable with a quad. Equanimeous St. Brown is also questionable with an elbow, and Trevor Davis is questionable with a hamstring. So you've got, you know, 4 key players here on this Packers offense that may not be in on the next drive, guys.
Yeah, that's the offense, and of course we told you about the defense and the attrition there. So from the 31, now it's 2nd down and 10 for the Vikings. Diggs running for a 1st down. Stephon Diggs to the 17-yard line. Tackled by Morrison and Williams. 1st down.
That was almost a fumble. Watch how close this was. Kirk Cousins going to snap around here, and he just barely got this ball in here. You could see him. Oh. And he was following it down the line, but that was good patience on the part of Diggs right there to make that play work.
Gain of 12. Cousins very good tonight. 24 out of 30 for 277. A minute to go in the quarter. Trying to get outside. Whoa. Down to the 14-yard line. Kentrell Brice makes the hit, and Brice, who was hurt earlier, came back in, makes the hit on Cook. And you get a Viking down as well on the play.
That was one unbelievable collision down the field.
It's Brian O'Neill, the right tackle of Minnesota, down.
Watch Brice come flying up here. And Brice is the one that really took the brunt of that hit. Yep. Dropped the helmet. That's the reason that they have the rules the way they do right there, because the tackler is just as likely to get hurt as the runner.
And you can see that Brice snapped, and his hit snapped back. Still working on him. O'Neill got hurt, still working on him. Rookie out of Pittsburgh, Rashad Hill, will come in at least for one play as O'Neill comes off. But meanwhile, you got Brice, who has been hurt, missed the Seattle game with an ankle injury, got hurt in the 1st half, went back to the locker room, at least able, fortunately, to get up and kind of jog back to the bench. So final minute of the 3rd quarter. Boy, these two teams, as tight as it can be in the 2 games this season.
Everybody's putting everything on the line. I mean, everybody knows for the Green Bay Packers, this is their season. They cannot handle another loss. Their win percentage or playoff percentage goes down to about 3%. They lose this game. Kentrell Brice, I've always been a fan of his. That sucker plays hard all the time. Big hitter. Did it on special teams. Glad he's okay.
All right, they wind the clock. It's 2nd down and 5 from the 14-yard line. Latavius Murray is the running back. Fake to him. Cousins rolling. Chased by Matthews. Fires. That'll be a 1st down and more. And Thielen, can he get in? Yes, touchdown. $14 yards for Thielen, who now has over 100 receiving yards tonight.
Kirk Cousins makes this play because they believed he was going to run. So he drew the coverage to him, which got Thielen open. You could see they had no choice there. They had to come up and attack him, and then it was Thielen just sticking the thing in the end zone. But it was the aggressive nature of what Kirk Cousins was doing on the edge out there that set that play up. Good finish, too, by Thielen.
Bounces his way into the end zone, waiting for the confirmation as they review the scoring play in Gotham.
Touchdown.
Yep.
Looks like a different team this week, doesn't it?
From the one we saw last week? Yep. Absolutely. In Chicago. Well, they killed themselves with turnovers. The 2 games we've done with them, New Orleans and Chicago, that's been the difference. And tonight, no turnovers. And a chance to take a 10-point lead right now. Dan Bailey for the extra point. And he bangs that one through. 24-14.
Well, tonight it has been a different Kirk Cousins, a guy that was playing on the move, and you can see that through week 11 what his numbers look like. He was willing to get out on design rollouts, and it made a difference. And so far tonight, he looks much more, and Al, you hit on it earlier, like the guy we saw in Washington.
Right.
I mean, he's aggressive, he's running, he's looking athletic, he is athletic. We just didn't see enough of that during the course of this season.
You know, he signed that big contract, a lot of money guaranteed, and we know, you know, we talk about people, coaches in particular, on the hot seat. There was a little bit of heat on Kirk Cousins recently here in Minneapolis and the entire state because of the way he played against New Orleans with the turnovers, the way he played last week against Chicago. But tonight he's on his way to well over 300 yards, 291 through 3 quarters.
In this day and age, you get paid an $84 million guaranteed contract, you're going to be under scrutiny.
Touchback. At the 25-yard line. Rodgers fires, caught up at the 30-yard line. Lance Kendricks, tight end, makes the catch. Aaron just trying to find anybody. That's a gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5. And the Packers go to the line of scrimmage, but that should take us into the 4th quarter. And it will. That's the end of 3. Minnesota 24, Green Bay 14. Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages. Green Bay with a lot of 4th quarter problems this year. They're going at the outset right now, down by 10, as Rodgers takes over on a 2nd down and 4 and gives the ball to Jones, who will power his way for a 1st down at the 38-yard line, and you had Anthony Harris diving on the pile. 1st down. The Vikings, when they have a 10-point lead, they have won 33 straight games. It's the longest current streak in the NFL. And when they have a 4th quarter lead, they won 20 in a row.
You know, but I think what the Packers did right there was smart. They got back to what they did early in the 1st half when they started to get it going. Run the football. So far, the Vikings are playing those 2 deep safeties back there, so they're not getting the one-on-one coverage on the outside with Devontae Adams anymore.
Rodgers fires down the left sideline. It's a wobbly pass, incomplete, intended for Equanimeous St. Brown, covered by Mackenzie Alexander. Will be 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, this has been a play that teams have tried to hit against the Vikings because they love to play Xavier Rhodes in man coverage on the outside. And a lot of times they'll miss somebody going on the wheel route up the seam. But this time Alexander stayed right with Equanimeous St. Brown on the outside. And he, after a fast start, really has been not much of a factor.
Well, he hobbles off now, and Jamon Moore comes in to take his place, number 82. On a 2nd down and 10. Inside handoff and a lot of running room for Jones as he takes it to the 44-yard line. Kendricks makes the tackle. 3rd and 4 for Green Bay.
You know, it's always such a dilemma. You never want to take the football out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, but they're basically giving you runs right now, and you have plenty of time on the clock. But this 3rd down conversion here is big.
Third and 4. Rodgers under pressure, spun down. Richardson again, his 2nd sack of the night.
Just a tremendous stunt here on the outside. They really are doing a job with this front 4, and they're not blitzing. That's really been the key tonight. Could they get home? Here we go, around here, and maybe it's partly Bakhtiari's knee or whatever the issue is, but he went down that time with Griffin and couldn't get back.
Rodgers now been sacked 33 times this season. Those are 3 per game. 3 tonight, all on third down. And that's a kick that will bounce out of bounds at the 8-yard line. A beauty. 55-yard punt. Minnesota starts deep in its own territory, up by 10.
Sunday!
They start this drive with Latavius Murray up to the 11-yard line. Randy Moss at halftime. A lot of his old buddies on hand tonight.
He's a country guy. He likes doing some fishing in his spare time.
From West Virginia. Dave Baker, from the Hall of Fame there, along with the Wilf brothers, Ziggy and Mark, owners of the Vikings. 2nd down and 5 from the 12.
180.
Murray again. 1st down.
It's a different dynamic when he's in the game. It really is, Al. It's a different thing when you get this 230-pound running back in the game. Now you just start thinking we are going right downhill. Let's attack. Let's double team. Let's go let these offensive linemen go get them here a little bit and maybe break an arm tackle or two. Murray kind of got put on the bench. I think it was more the Dalvin Cook 70-yard run in that game a couple of weeks ago. And they're like, oh my gosh, we got to get him in. Right. But this guy really has been, it's a different element when he's in the game.
4 years with the Raiders. He was their primary back last year after Cook went out in week 4 with a torn ACL. Give it to him again. And move that pile for a couple of yards. And they can also begin to start to use the clock a little bit here.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked a lot tonight about Kirk Cousins, and the pressure was on him, and you know, whatever. 25 for 31, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. He's outplayed Aaron Rodgers tonight, who really comes into this 12 for 21, 116 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. That's what you have to do. You know, you get that contract, you're expected when Aaron Rodgers comes in here to have at least the night he has, if not better. And so far tonight, Cousins has been better.
Absolutely. You saw that Bryce back in the locker room being evaluated for a concussion. 2nd and 6. Look out as the pressure was on. Got it away. Treadwell, the intended receiver, but he wasn't going anywhere with it. It'll be 3rd down and 6 with Matthews putting the pressure on. 3rd and 6.
You know, I hit on it just briefly, but you're talking about the great Clay Matthews here. He's got a big contract, only 2.5 sacks this year. He's 32 years old. And they've got some pass rushers around him. You never know, but there might be a possibility he's playing for somebody else next year. I think he'd like to play another 2 or 3 years.
1st round pick 10 years ago. As Cousins throws, finds the open man, and of course it's Thielen. On a 3rd and long, they convert.
I like what happened with the quick count here. They weren't quite ready for this blitz. They overload this side, but because they weren't quite set to deliver that blitz, the Vikings able to pick it up, and Cousins did what he's been doing all night, which is just throwing perfect shots into holes into the zone coverage. So they really have been forced to get away from what they wanted to do tonight, which is play Jair Alexander in man-to-man coverage and zone away, because they just have had too many injuries on the back end.
Showed you earlier, Cousins, good games against the Packers, and another good one tonight. And this is Cook taking it to the midfield stripe to the 50-yard line. Meanwhile, Randy Moss here, he had 800-yard receiving games twice in a season. Thielen now with 9, and he still has 5 games to play this year. 125 receiving yards tonight. There he is, grew up around here, went to Minnesota State, got a tryout, caught the attention of the Vikings.
And look at the number he's wearing.
Man, that was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. Randy Moss was his hero, wore his jersey, and now he broke his record.
Murray back in the game. Here he is. And he comes up about a yard short. Adams makes the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
And I think tonight you have to give a little bit of credit to John DeFilippo as well. I mean, he was in a tough spot. He knew he wanted to throw the ball against this secondary that was so depleted for the Green Bay Packers, and yet his head coach was saying, hey, let's balance this thing out a little bit. Let's run the ball occasionally, all right? And so he's been able to make the coach happy, make some big plays on the side.
Balance used to be 50-50. Now it's more like 60-40 passing. Minnesota was 2-1. 3rd and 1, and the pass is caught out in the flat by C.J. Ham, the fullback. Gets wrestled down by Antonio Morrison. First down, another one, 8.5 to go.
Good play call here, 3rd and 1. Everybody's looking for the run with the fullback in the game. Send your fullback out in the flat there like Bill Walsh used to do and pick it up. So you establish the run on this drive enough to convince the Green Bay Packers that they would try and run it again. Now you can go play action. You can't go play action until you establish that run.
Bill Walsh, Tom Rathman lives, huh?
Yeah.
Live sky cam providing the action from behind the offense on a first down.
Should run it here.
Number 34. And they will with Latavius Murray, and they're chewing up some clock here. This drive has consumed almost 5 minutes.
I mean, this is really, for Mike Zimmer, the perfect situation. If the Packers feel like they have to protect the back end there and play zone defenses and play 2 safeties deep down the field, he'll never throw a pass. Let's see if they stay with that same look. Well, there they are. They're back there again. Well, now they're going to drop down here.
2nd and 8. Give it to Murray again. Just keep working the clock right now and convert on 3rd downs, which they are doing. Another one here, 3rd down and 5.
And it's just so difficult because the NFL now is so complex. And if you don't have guys that are used to playing at this level, you have to simplify. It's like going back to training camp. It's like going back to preseason with what you have the ability to call. And the Packers right now are pretty limited.
3rd and 5. Cousins under pressure, and that's a big sack. Dean Lowry. They were in field goal range, and that makes it more problematic now if they want to go for the 3-pointer. So a big sack by Lowry was 6.5 and ticking down.
Al, you have a creative mind. Tell me what Mike Remmers is doing right here.
Let me watch.
Was it a screen? He almost pushed him into Kirk Cousins.
Swatting flies.
I haven't seen that one.
So they have to punt. And for a while, this will be his 4th of the night. Averaging 54. This one he'll try to put some backspin on it. It will bounce, and it's a loose ball. Tramon Williams, and the Vikings are going to come away with it. So they had Williams back there. It was a spinning kick, short kick. Marcus Sherrills is there to recover it, and the Vikings retain possession.
Somewhere Bill Parcells is losing his mind. He used to talk about all the lost yards of punt returners, and that time was a lost ball.
Not since Mark Rippon did it against the Cardinals in 88 and 89 has a player had 300 or more yards and 3 or more touchdowns in each of his first 3 games against an opponent. So Kirk Cousins has had a lot of success against the Green Bay Packers, and it continues tonight with 324 yards, 3 touchdowns. That was the first turnover of the game. And Williams stays in the game in the secondary now. And Minnesota has a first down at the 15-yard line and a 10-point lead with less than 6 minutes to go. And Matthews is right there to blow up the play. Dalvin Cook, loss of 3, and Green Bay is going to take a timeout.
Clay Matthews probably thinking it's okay if I put my full body weight on a running back, because he sure did on this one. Now you hit on Kirk Cousins, and it was really his ability tonight to beat the blitz. Cousins tonight has a perfect rating against the blitz, 9 for 10, and exactly what he needed, exactly what John DeFilippo needed, and exactly what Mike Zimmer needed. They needed to see that he could be this kind of quarterback in this kind of game, and he's delivered.
Keeping them right in the playoff hunt. If they win the game 6-4-1, Chicago, bit of a stranglehold in the division, but you could get a wild card coming out of the NFC North as Cousins throws, reaching up for it, and the ball comes loose, incomplete. Stefon Diggs looked for the moment as if he might come down with it. Incomplete. 3rd and 13.
We've seen Diggs time after time. He is the best in the NFL at contested catches. How did it come out when it hit the ground? You know, I can't explain to you, Al, how many times that happens. You make the catch and the ground does something. You know, you gotta pull it back into your body. You have to turn your body. You have to land on your shoulders, because if that ball hits first, it's coming out.
3rd down, 13 from the 19-yard line. Cousins is going to take off, and he's going to run the ball inside the 10. Going to be a little short of the 1st down. 4th down coming up. Jair Alexander makes the stop.
Yeah, this is one of the things that when teams start playing 2-man or man under and 2 deep or 1 lurk or any of those things, they're going to be running lanes for the quarterback. We've seen Aaron Rodgers do this a million different times. But you know what else this does, Al? Now you go back to the huddle as a quarterback. You know what happens? Your guys say, way to go, man.
Way to go, and they're going to go for it on 4th down. If they kick a field goal, it's still a 2-possession game.
Totally agree with the call.
Absolutely. This time, definitely. Even if they don't make it, Green Bay very deep in its own territory. That'll be tipped. That'll be incomplete. Tipped by Reggie Gilbert, the linebacker. And so the Packers will get it, but deep in their own territory at the 7 in a 10-point game in Minneapolis. Green Bay's second half woes continue. Last week at Seattle, 3 points, 3 first downs. Tonight, no points, 3 first downs and 42 yards. They begin this drive down by 10. Jamal Williams is in the backfield from the 7-yard line. Rodgers flips it to the outside. Short gain there. Marquez Valdez-Scantling with a gain there. The rookie out of South Florida, 5th-round draft choice.
Yeah, and we're continue to see the deep safeties. They blitzed only twice tonight and only once on 3rd down. They have not run the football well enough or hit short passes well enough to force the hand of Mike Zimmer. So this front 4 has gotten it done. Enough pressure on Rodgers without blitzing.
2nd and 7 over the middle, and that is caught, and that is Jimmy Graham, who's been basically a non-factor tonight with a broken thumb, but a big grab here out to the 35-yard line, a gain of 26, and that's Graham's first catch of the game. 2 targets tonight. And that's caught. He goes back to number 80 again. So back-to-back grabs by Graham. They'll go no huddle here. So Green Bay down by 10. Also, they've already used 2 timeouts. And there's Bakhtiari. So substitutions on the left side of the line. Jason Spriggs playing left tackle. 2nd down and 1. Rodgers under pressure, gets sacked again at the 34-yard line. Everson Griffin, who went to work on Spriggs that time with the sack. And that'll make it a 3rd down back at the 35-yard line. 3rd and 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been almost automatic. You get 3 seconds as a quarterback. That's really all you can hope for. Great coverage down the field. But once again, Everson Griffin coming back, and since he has come back, you pair him on the other side with Danielle Hunter. They don't have to blitz anymore.
3rd and 10. Vikings opponents 0 for their last 31 on 3rd and 10 or more. That's the situation here. Rogers steps up, fires down the sideline, and getting free and bobbling it, but holding on is Adams. And reaching for his hamstring is Rhodes. So a big play, 3rd and 10, and then Rhodes goes down. You can see him grabbing for the hamstring immediately. And the clock stopped with 2:38.
Let's take a look. I think this is just a too deep out there. That's really not Rhodes' responsibility, but he allowed him to get to the outside, so the safety really couldn't get over the top of that. Nice find here by Rogers, but now we're talking about David Bakhtiari, the loss of him for the Green Bay Packers. This is huge for the Minnesota Vikings. He is their #1 cover guy.
They're doing a good job after Adams had gotten off to a hot start. His first catch in quite some time, and that was a 3rd and 10. So the Vikings, and of course after tonight they will go coast to coast. They go to the East Coast to face the Patriots next week, and then out west to face the Seahawks the following week. Holton Hill is a rookie free agent who played at Texas, and he's the guy who's going to come in place of Rhodes, as if Rogers hasn't noticed.
Yeah, but be careful. Holton Hill has played pretty well when he replaced Rhodes on another occasion. First play got an interception, so this young man has done just fine, thank you. But I don't think they'll change what they're doing on defense. I don't think they'll suddenly jump into some man-to-man coverage. They're going to stay with what they're doing here.
So Rhodes off. Ball is at the 29. Packers 1 timeout plus the 2-minute warning. This drive began back at the 7.
They also were able to switch out their pass rushers, so they have 2 fresh bodies in there now on the edge.
Bauer and Weatherly are the fresh guys.
Oh boy, you saw the blitz.
Yeah, began to show blitz. Are they going to come?
Yes,
they are. And Rogers sprints away, throws, caught. Adams again. This time in front of Waynes. They put Trey Waynes on him. It'll be a gain of 9. It'll be 2nd down and 1 at the 20.
Yeah, one of those overload blitzes here where they try to come off the left side and then cover on the outside. So, but that leaves Waynes one-on-one against their best. And so far, we haven't seen anybody cover him yet in that situation. So they did go blitz on that one, got burned on it. Do they stay with it?
Yeah, Jamon Moore as a receiver, and he just went hobbling off the field. St. Brown comes back in. He's been in and out. He's in the slot. And they'll go to him, but short for St. Brown. 3rd down and 1 with exactly 2.5 to go in regulation.
Reminds you a little bit of the 3rd and 2 last week, doesn't it? You know, it doesn't. These great quarterbacks don't miss often, but when they do, it looks awful. Obviously didn't have the laces. He says he practices throwing without the laces. So just miscalculated, I guess.
He missed on the 3rd and 2 in Seattle, which led to the punt.
Right, which led to the controversy.
Right. Jamal Williams is the running back on 3rd and 1. Play clock at 2. Rogers in the pocket, throws wide open, but off the fingertips of Adams. He was there, and he had it and couldn't collect it. 4th down.
He saw the single coverage on the outside. A little inside dip, takeoff. This has to be automatic. We talked about how golden those 2 were. And now back-to-back weeks with everything on the line, the season literally on the line. Their 2 best players on offense can't connect.
And he beat Holton Hill. Now you can go either way here. They need a field goal and a touchdown. So they'll opt for the 3-pointer from 38 yards away to make it a 1-possession game. Crosby to boot it, which he does. So you're going to have a 1-possession game, 24-17, 2:20 remaining in regulation. Good one under the dome. Vikings expecting an onside kick here.
You know, I think onside kicks are just harder to get this year. The percentage of recovered onside kicks has dropped from 21 down to 9% because of the rule that you've got to be within 1 yard of the kicking line, and you can't get a run up here.
Crosby, it's got to go 10 yards, and it does, and then it's collected at the 47-yard line, but there's a flag down. That is Kyle Rudolph, the tight end. We'll see what Bill Vinovich has to say about this.
And you can tell that the kicking team wants to get a jump start on it, but the kicker, Crosby, always has a little hitch step.
Offside. Kicking team number 30. 5-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down. Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes and 19 seconds. 2:19, please.
And I know that's done for safety, you know, the 1 yard and all that kind of stuff. You know what I wish they'd do? Make it 4th and 15. Make it 4th and 12. Whatever the number is, play make it, take it, man. Let's give these great quarterbacks a chance to pick up a first down and keep control of the ball.
Well, it's Terrence Newman, the longtime Cowboy and Bengal, talking to Rhodes with a hamstring, officially out of the game. Minnesota has it at the 41. Green Bay can only stop the clock with a timeout one time, plus the 2-minute warning. Murray. It was a costly timeout for these guys when McCarthy didn't like the fact that the ball wasn't spotted quickly enough for his liking, and they had to take a timeout there.
Yeah, it has been a tough go here, and for Mike McCarthy, who's done such great things with the Green Bay Packers, including a Super Bowl championship and including a great run in the playoffs. The blessing and the curse, I guess, of Aaron Rodgers. But you know, the other thing, Al, you sign Aaron to that big contract. You know how many rookies they have active tonight? 12. 12. And 3 key ones starting back there in the secondary. So there's a yin and a yang. You get a rookie quarterback out there, and you can pay everybody else. So you can add depth to your team.
All those rookies are living in Aaron's house. He's making all the money.
Could be. 2nd
down and 9. And this will be Murray to the 38-yard line. Martinez makes the tackle. You know, the thing about McCarthy, too, with the 2-minute warning coming up here, you know what the narrative is right now? You know, you can complain about decisions and whether he should punt or do whatever. But you know what it is? The big narrative is he had Aaron Rodgers all of these years, and you've only won 1 Super Bowl.
The blessing and the curse.
And been to one, yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And they are down to, this is it for this football team. I mean, they simply have to make a play right here. Green Bay Packers, if they come out of here with a win, chances of making the playoffs 28%, with a loss 3%. But look at the Vikings. If they win this game, 73% chance, and that's despite trailing the Bears the way that they are. But this is a football team that has a defense. They can travel with that defense. Big games coming up. But Mike Zimmer has a way of peaking this football team at the right time. Plus, you know, the thing we didn't talk about tonight, and there's one of the guys had a big night. There's Sheldon Richardson with a couple of sacks, but the return of Anthony Barr was big for this football team and this defense too. Harrison Smith, a big game. There's Anthony Barr. Out a few weeks with a hamstring.
Right. Hamstring, he got sick last week, night before the game in Chicago. That kept him out of that. Meanwhile, you have a 3rd down and 6 from the 38-yard line. Cousins is going to throw it. And it's caught, and that's a first down. Diggs, and that should take us to the finish line. Tell you, that's a risky play in that situation. Very.
And especially with the throw where it was. I mean, it was well behind. That ball could have easily been tipped, and Tony Brown could have come up with a play, but sticky Stephon Diggs even gets commercials for his good hands. Made another unbelievable play. He loves clutch moments, doesn't he?
Not just risky because of the play, but if it's incomplete, you stop the clock. You still have 1:55. You probably have to punt, and you got Aaron Rodgers on the other side. So the Green Bay Packers are going to go now to 4-6-1. The Vikings go to 6-4-1. Vikings are a game and a half out of first. Green Bay 3.5. So all they're looking at is the slim possibility of a wild card. And it's close to slim and none right now. Aaron Rodgers held to 198 yards. Kirk Cousins, the man of the night, with 334. Thielen, 125 receiving yards on 8 catches. So the Vikings make this tough upcoming road trip, but win a game they had to win by a score of 24-17.